Hello, everybody. Welcome again. So, today I am with a beautiful being, a soul sister, Mytrae Meliana. And we are going to be talking about Tantra and sexuality from many, I would say, I'm guessing we're going to go through many, many layers and nuances of this topic, which I think is going to bring up some beautiful aspects of this re-becoming the one that haven't really been touched on yet in the symposium. And this week that this recording is for is this last week of re-becoming the one, which is focused on bringing us all to wholeness, re-becoming the one. And yeah, so I was, when I asked you to be a part of this is the topic that came up for you. And I was super, 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 super excited. I'll say more about this when we get into the conversation. But one of the reasons I was so happy that you offered this topic is because Tantra and sexuality and sacred sexuality feel absolutely key. It is absolutely key. Not only feel it, I know it. It is absolutely key in this whole process of healing ourselves, healing our world. And I feel comfortable having those conversations, especially publicly, with very, very, very few people. And you are that part of that small handful of people that I trust so completely. Your integrity and your own personal process with it and your own dedication. That's what it is. You're what I can feel in you is this beautiful, complete dedication to your own journey and your own relationship to all of these things.
Oh,
So
thank
thank you
you.
so much for being here and agreeing to do this.
Thank you so much. That's just so beautiful. Just really touches me. Thank
Mm,
you for having me.
mm,
It's really a pleasure and an honor. Thanks.
thank you. So before we start, I want to read your bio so people have a little sense of who you are, and then we will dive in. So Mytrae Meliana empowers women to heal trauma, liberate themselves from patriarchy, and awaken to their divine selves. In her workshops and programs, she empowers women to find their voice, truth, power, passion, and soul purpose, and cultivate their personal relationship with the divine feminine. She is a women's empowerment and spiritual teacher, sound healer, divine feminine channel, holistic psychotherapist, and an award-winning author. Her healing, transformational, and spiritual offerings are an alchemy of psychology, the feminine wisdom tradition of Tantra, vibrational medicine, earth-based energy, and spiritual practices. I resonate with everything you say there. So again, welcome.
Thank you.
And yeah, I would love to start just by hearing in your words why this topic, what does Tantra and sexuality mean for you, and why did it come up, do you think, for you when I asked you to speak in Rebecoming the One?
Well, one, Tantra is just an important part of my work, as is sexuality. Um, and when I heard a little bit about your symposium with the masculine and the feminine, it just seemed to fit right in, because Tantra is so comes from that paradigm and that perspective. I also feel that sexuality is hugely important at this time. It's an issue that's so misunderstood, so tortured, and so violated, and that the sacredness of it, the beauty of it, is not known by a lot of people. And so many women and others of all genders, but primarily women, are so wounded around sexuality. So I think it's really important and a wonderful way to heal trauma, which is, you know, part of what I work with. So that's why it came up.
Beautiful. And before we began recording, you mentioned that the Tantra that you work with is different than perhaps the more well-known versions in the Western world. Do you want to say a bit about your practice of Tantra and what's your definition of what is Tantra, first of all, and then second of all, what is your approach? How would you characterize your approach to it?
Yeah. So Tantra is really an expansion of consciousness, and it is our own individual expansion of consciousness into the web, or the portal of all that is, and our relationship to that. So it is very much our own individual journey, but it's also a collective journey, because we are connected, but we're also interconnected. So right away, it has this immediate sense of we are connected. We are the one, you know, through the web. We are the one, and we may seem unique and individual, and we are on one level, but we're also interconnected beings. And Tantra for me it's a philosophy, it's a paradigm, it's a tradition, it's also a practice, a very embodied path to divinity, our own divinity, and knowing ourselves as divine beings in human form. So Tantra is much, much, much more than, say, the Western Tantra, which is primarily and only a sacred sexuality. But Tantra in and of itself is how it is in India. It's everything is sacred, and it is a path both for individuals as well as if you're in partnership, whomever you are, whatever your life. It can be sexual, it need not be sexual. You may be partnered, you need not be partnered. But ultimately, Tantra is a path to realizing yourself as divine. And it does it a little bit differently than other, even Indian traditions. Like some traditions are very ascetic, or where divinities is you transcend the world or you leave the world. And so many other religions have divorced spirit from from sexuality. And I think that is a huge, huge healing that Tantra can bring to the world, because there is no separation in Tantra between the sacred energy of Eros, of Shakti, to anything else that we are, because we come from the divine. And I think I would like to begin by sharing an image of how I see Tantra. You know, you and maybe the listeners, I'm sure you've seen these beautiful images of the male and the female in this ecstatic coupling. They're seated in Yab-Yam, which is, she's seated on his lap. They're both seated upright, and they're in this ecstatic lovemaking. And that is the divine, according to Tantra, that the masculine and the feminine have been forever united, and in each and every moment remain united, and in each and every moment are creating the universe from love, from ecstasy, from this beautiful, full, ecstatic, erotic energy. So that is who we are, that is the divine, and that is who we've come from. And I think it can be hard for some people to think of the divine as erotic, because we've been fed such a different picture. I know for myself, I had to work through a lot of messages I had received about the divine, and certainly about myself. But the erotic Shakti is such I mean, we are that. We wouldn't be alive without her. Not only would we not be born, but we wouldn't exist in every moment without the life force. So she's not just a life force, but it's also the erotic nature, the ecstatic nature of the life force. So that's one thing I love about Tantra. It is a path of meditation and all the practices, but it is an opening to joy, to love, and to ecstatic embodiment. So it's not a path without pleasure. It's not a path that denies our body, but in fact it embraces and celebrates, and the practices are designed for us to expand and open into the lusciousness of life.
What the image that keeps coming to me is something I've been getting shown in my prayers for 2 or 3 years probably, but it's developed in the last few weeks in a particular way. And I'm curious to hear your take on it and if this fits with what you're talking about. I'm guessing it does. I'm just not sure exactly how it would fit into your framework. So I'm curious. So every day I do my own set of prayers and have a process I go through. And then at the end, I say, I am highest quantum source light. What is mine to do? So that's not something I teach. It's just, that's my own personal practice. Okay. So essentially by the end, I re-become the light, and then I'm shown either in vision, usually through the light, like the light takes on forms and I'm shown what is mine to do that day or moving forward. And most recently, what keeps happening is I get taken, this part has been going on for a few years, but the end part is a little different, a little new. So what's been happening for a few years is I get taken through the atmosphere of the earth, through basically the entire time-space continuum, and then out the membrane of the time-space continuum into the void of the nothing and the everything. But then the new part is then I get taken, I've been recently getting taken into the void, into source itself, which I experience as like a ball, like a sun, like a star, like the big ball of light. And then I've been getting taken through that whole ball of source. I basically get like cleared, like cleansed in source itself. And then I've been getting taken out of source into this world of light. And in that world of light, what I get shown is myself as a feminine being, because I do identify pretty much entirely as feminine in that sense, with caveats, but yes, mostly that. And my body and my being as this light version of the feminine gets completely cleared again and like continuously sort of cleansed in the light of source. And then typically there will be a masculine light counterpart, right? And then I get shown various things that are very sexual in nature. And I absolutely get the message that it's not only personal to me, it's also a huge part of the work that I'm meant to hold space for in the world. And what I'm still sitting with and still learning, I think, from the spirit world, what exactly it is that they're trying to convey. But a big part of what I can feel at this point is that they're essentially saying, that this life force energy of source absolutely has to re-become all of who we are, that we need to clear away anything that has been like the trauma and the conditioning and everything, so that we re-become literally this light of source that we are as earth is very key. and that we do perhaps have, partnerships sexual partnerships where this plays out literally, but it's more about the energetic of regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of your gender identity, et cetera, that this energetic of us clearing and then literally re-becoming the one in these light earth body forms. There's something very key there. Anyway, thoughts?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing. Wow, that's really incredible, an incredible journey. Yeah, I mean, I was just getting chills the whole time you were sharing it. Those are exactly the same messages I've been receiving, that sexuality is going to go through an enormous overhaul on the planet. Like how we've understood it is below kindergarten. It's like we are so far from understanding the beauty, the power, the divinity of sexuality. Like our minds hold such, tortured ways of seeing it. And I love that. I mean, just we all have to go through the cleansing, the releasing of the trauma, the conditioning, and all that we've been fed, to open to the real, to true sexuality, and that sexuality, and this is aligns with Tantra, is that sexuality is a path to the divine. Which so many religions have shut down, but Tantra is one of the few traditions that acknowledges, affirms, and teaches how to open to expand and increase the orgasmic energy within your own body, whether you're with a partner or solo, in order to unify the masculine and feminine within you, the sacred marriage, the divine marriage within. And of course, it's ideal if you have a partner, an actual partner who can meet those, where there is then that intermingling and play and dance of those energies between each other. But also, what to your point is that, I think at this time of ascension, you said it, we are going beyond our earthly. We also have light bodies, so it is sexuality connects to our light body. The orgasmic energy literally lights up our light bodies, and that feeds us in turn. So it is a way of ascension. It is actually a key part of how we will ascend. That without it, I'm not sure how we're going to do that.
That's exactly what I am getting told. And another key part about it, I mean, and again, the spirit world is speaking to me directly, Martha, but I think it's true on a bigger level too, is like, it's natural that if I or any of us go into that beautiful light world, right? And then we're with this, like, and we become the gorgeous light being that we are, and then we're with this amazingly beautiful light partner. It's really easy to get focused on wanting that light partner in real life. And like, whether or not we're partnered, we probably aren't partnered with a light being. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure I'm sure they're out there, but what I keep getting told very adamantly is, do not focus on the human. Like, do not focus on, don't go down the road of searching for the human version of that. That is not the point. The focus needs to be on the energetic of it, as you, like, they're telling me, focus on the reality that regardless of what any human is doing, you are this light, you are this source, you are source itself. And then humans will gravitate as they are meant to, who can meet that light as you in whatever way they're meant to, either as a partner or as a friend, or like having this conversation, or the light will meet the light. But focus on the light, focus on being the embodied light as earth, that process, and don't start to put your energy over here and kind of get dragged down. That's my personal experience.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of focus.
Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't want a human, right,
Mhm.
counterpart? Yeah. So, but absolutely, and I think that's really what it is, and it's very much this as above, so below, that
Mhm.
we haven't really. It's very much an embodied divinity, and I think that's what this ascension is about. That our soul can come in when we consider ourselves, our bodies, as divine and
Mhm.
be fully embodied. Um, Otherwise, we're still thinking we're a human self and the soul self is out. There's the separation, but part of this, the sexuality, is owning the fullness of our body is wired, is naturally, is divine. It's wired for divinity and ecstasy. And when the more we embrace that, that allows the soul to come in and be embodied more and more and more. That's how I understand
Beautiful.
it.
So I would love to hear what do you do with clients? Like, what's the how? Like, so we've talked about the what, but what's the how for you?
Well, at this point, I haven't been sharing a lot of it. At this point, I've really just been receiving and developing it and practicing it on myself, which I really have needed to do.
Mhm.
But there are practices with, of course, voice and breath and movement, which I do share with some clients. And then eventually, the more ecstatic practices. Yeah, but at this point, I haven't really put myself out there for that.
Mhm. Do you want to say anything about the voice part of it?
Yeah, so the voice is wonderful because it works on it's a vibration, and we being vibration, it has the ability to open up our channels, open up our own embodiment, and of course open up the fifth, but also the second chakra, which it's very connected to. So both the sexual chakra and all the chakras, of course, but primarily the fifth and the second get to open and vibrate, and that is an energizing. And the more we can energize and vibrate our tissues, our cells, our bones,
Mm.
our voice is a tremendous instrument to heal and awaken our own divine architecture. So, um, sounding, chanting, toning, singing. You don't have to be a singer. Any kind of, even just sounding your emotions, however it comes out. Um, the opposite of holding things in. So this is going against, social norms and conditioning, to just begin to just start sounding in whatever way feels right to you. But to allow the voice box to open, because that activates and energizes the channels and of course the chakras in the body.
Yeah. So another thing I've been getting shown, I'm curious how this fits in too. Like, this is really cool for me to be able for you to be a sounding board of these things that that I don't get to share with very many people. Um, but I think this is very related to what you're talking about. Another key thing the spirit world keeps telling me in the last recent weeks is um, that, of course, our bodies and our beings are sacred temples, and that um, similar to the experience of me going into the light of source and getting cleared and cleansed and all of that, that it's really key in this time for us to be continually clearing our energetic body as that sacred temple that we are, and that um and then they show me basically different body systems. So like they say, you have a cardiovascular system, you have a respiratory system, you have the meridian system, you have the craniosacral system, da da da, da. And then they say, and you have this system of the sexual energy, and they show it to me as like rivers, like streams going through the body like this. And so they say, it's extremely key in this time also for that literal actual set of channels to come back fully online, fully connected, and just balanced and healthy. Just like your cardiovascular system needs to be all of those things too. And this is regardless of whether you are 95 years old, whether you are 45 years, whatever it is, whether or not you are sexually active, whether you might have zero libido. That is not the point. This is life force energy. And most humans have, because there's so much trauma around sexuality and so much conditioning around sexuality and so much control and suppression of it, and distortion of it, we have forgotten that it is no different than the respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, etc. And it's absolutely key to our literal, actual physical health, not to mention everything else. But they keep showing me that that we are these, basically these crystalline light temples, and that part of the key of re-becoming that is to have that sexual life force energy streams fully back online and clicked in, aligned.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So is that same?
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean,
Okay.
and the beautiful thing is we have the architecture. So the whole Kundalini system, what you're talking about, the rivers. I mean, you must know about we have, again, this is Tantra. There's the energetic meridians and the energetic pathways that go from our perineum, they intertwine through the chakras, like snakes, like serpents, and then ultimately they reach the top. And wherever, so the Kundalini awakening in Tantra is the beginning of enlightenment. Okay, however you define enlightenment, and each, some people would think it's non-sexual, but it's very sexual. But what it does as it rises, it's seated as a coiled serpent at the base, at your perineum, which is between your anus and your genitals. And when it starts rising, it goes through each of the chakras, and wherever there's blocks or negative beliefs, it works there and shakes you up, so to speak, to get you off the couch, to clear them. And then once it reaches the top, then it creates a clear channel. So connected to Mother Earth below, and to everything else that's above. And so we are held in that. And when there's a clear stream, then we are fully clear. So we have this sacred feminine and masculine architecture within us, and it's just a question of working with it. And to speak to your, I totally agree. Like when they talk about the crystalline temples, and that our body is a temple, of course, every cell is a temple, and we also have the crystalline architecture within us, so to speak, and that comes online through sound. Sound is one of the ways it clears the trauma as well as activates the sound, especially when you use crystal singing bowls.
Oh, wow. That
is the most immediate way to both heal and awaken, because I think, this, the DNA, the spiritual DNA is crystalline. And so it activates the crystalline nature of who we are. So I was told, when you use the singing bowls, stay with the crystal, because, I mean, the metal ones are great, but the crystal ones activate our crystalline nature of our bodies. So, and thereby helping us to awaken to our light bodies that much faster.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, this is such an interesting process, and maybe you can relate to this because you also channel. I get told and shown all of these things, and I do not know what they're talking about. So for example, with the Kundalini structure, I mean, I have never been taught it. I'm sure it's been in my awareness at some level, but I have never learned it, right? So it's fascinating to me that that's basically what I'm getting shown. That didn't click for me until just now. And then this whole idea of the crystalline structure that we are, the human me, when I hear that in my prayers, says, okay, that's very woo-woo and new agey. And thank you for sharing. And I would like a little rational explanation, please. So what you're saying there is also starting to fill in some gaps for me, because yeah, I mean, they're very, very clear with me. No, this is part of what we're becoming, is re-becoming the crystalline light structure being of the earth that we are.
Right.
And the human me doesn't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, most of us don't. I don't.
What'd you say?
I don't either. I mean, I just get, we get these little bits and pieces, and trying to put into some pieces on a jigsaw puzzle. That's how I feel most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So fascinating. So with the crystalline aspect of things, is that something that is coming through for you in your own spiritual? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, this, as part of Ascension, we are going beyond from carbon bodies to crystalline bodies. That's the journey. So, and our journey is from trauma to sacred. So, carbon bodies have the 3D energies of pain, of struggle, of trauma, of, hardship. And, so it's a heaviness that we have.
Yes.
But Ascension is this leap to the higher dimensions of who we are.
Yes.
And we do this with light, with sound, with movement, with vibrational medicine, with, of course, herbs, and all these wonderful things that we have. And sound is one of the key ways that I have been told again and again. And so I've received a lot of messages about sound, how it really activates our crystalline body, internal, and especially the crystal singing bowls, because there's with crystalline singing bowls, you're getting the crystalline nature of the crystals through the sound waves. So when people have crystals in their homes, but with crystal singing bowls, you get crystals and sound, and so it works on you on a vibrational level. It's probably too involved for this conversation.
No, it's not involved at all. Keep going. This is perfect. This is amazing.
So our bones, even our bones have crystalline. Are crystalline. Water is crystalline, and so the kind of water we drink, the kind of foods we eat, all those either contribute or detract from the crystalline nature of who we are. So the cleaner we eat, the less polluted, the less contaminated, that's how we enhance our own crystalline nature. And when, along with positive thoughts, along with positive emotions and energies, when the water in our cells receives crystalline input, say from a crystal singing bowl, it charges. It charges us. It literally, we receive a electromagnetic charge, a crystalline charge, so that without having to think, we are able to shed negative emotions, the past traumas, and it begins to raise our vibration so that we do, take the next little unfurling of one petal of who we are.
Yes, it fits exactly with my work. Yes. And here's what this is fascinating. I'm really curious to hear what your thought is on this. Okay, as you're talking, this conversation is going in a direction I did not expect, but this is amazing. So I think and maybe some people watching know this about me. 5 years ago, I had an experience where I was in social work. I was at a very, not woo-woo job at all, and working with a lot of trauma, a huge amount of trauma in the child welfare system. And long story short, essentially, I had an experience in April of 2018 where a group of 8 spirits came to me, and who I had never experienced before. And they told me that I was going to need to leave social work, and I was going to need to start channeling. And that they said, what you will channel, what we will channel through you will become the platform for what we need you to do next. Okay. Fast forward, basically, yes, I left social work. Yes, I started channeling. And then they told me I also was going to need to channel a series of 8 books, which I did start to do. So the first of the books is called Living the One Light, and that was published in 2018. The next 2 were Gaia Speaks and The Cosmos Speaks, which were published in 2019. Then the next 3, which I'm in the middle of channeling, and I'm just kind of sitting with right now, are called Love Speaks, The Goddesses Speak, and The Gods Speak. So the original 3, The Living One Light, Gaia Speaks, and The Cosmos Speaks, they're sort of foundational reminders that we are the light, we are the cosmos, we are the earth. Then this set of 3 that I'm currently sitting with, and that this whole symposium is clearly related to, is the everything having to do with sacred union, the inner sacred union, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the healing between the 2, and everything that goes with all of that. But here's the fascinating thing. So again, these are channeled, right? So I don't quite get it yet, what's going on here. But the conversation we're having is starting. I'm going, ding, 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 ding. There's something here. Because, so what they show me is that this set of 8 books is a spiral that's an octave. And so again, the first book is called actually it's right here, Living the One Light. Living the One Light. And then the 8th book, the last one, will be The Light Speaks. And they are 2 shades of the same color. The Living the One Light is actually this color. This color is really weird. We're wearing the same color as the book. And then The Light Speaks will be like a higher shade of the same color as Living the One Light. But here, the 7th one, which comes after the set, which is basically sort of a tantric thing. The 7th one, which comes next, is called The Crystals Speak. And it's not about crystals. It's about the crystalline reality of existence.
Love it.
So
I love
what's
it.
going on here?
You're tapped into such beautiful, high level guidance and wisdom. I love it. This has to come in, and you're bringing it in. How beautiful is that?
Right. But in terms of this conversation that we're having, like our conversation is going somewhere I did not expect, but I don't think this is a coincidence. What do you see? Clearly this Tantra, the divine sexuality, the healing of our trauma, and coming back into the one as the divine feminine, divine masculine. Then what my books seem to be indicating is, then the next level is to come into this crystalline reality. Like there's something about doing this healing between the divine feminine, divine masculine, the inner union, that is necessary in order to then go to the next level. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, so let's maybe to take it back a little bit. So yeah, we have for the Tantra, the healing of the masculine and the feminine, is both individual and collective. So one, for us to heal our own wounded feminine, our own wounded masculine, and activate and awaken to our own divine feminine and masculine. And that's a huge thing in and of itself.
Yeah,
and I think that is a work of it's healing and of interconnectedness and of reverence. I keep getting love, reverence, ecstasy. Those, if I were to give 3 words, those were the words I would give this path, for ourselves, for each other, for our planet, and for the cosmos, that we are to enter into these higher states of our relationships with ourselves, with each other, and with the planet. And that in itself is enormous. That's and when that happens, as that happens, our own divine feminine, our own divine masculine, our soul aspects come in, and we are sort of reborn, as it were, or born into they take birth in us, because we have done that level of clearing, of healing, and we're going to the next level. And they also come in to help take us to the next level. I think it's a both and. It's not we're reaching up, but they're also reaching down to help us, just as guides do. And what I've been shown, again, is this carbon to crystalline, carbon to light body. We are breaking away the carbon body of who we are and know ourselves to be as humans, which is this one level of density, into this higher level of light, which is light body or crystalline body. And in that, from what I know, then it is, we go beyond being human as we know it to a higher, I love that you use the word octave, because it's a higher level of us as humanity embodied on earth. We have often walked thinking, oh, light beings are only up there, right? And you said it too, the light beings are going to be up there. But I think it's also, it's very much an as above, so below, so that we are ascending to this higher dimension of who we are. And this is the work that's needed. And, this is why I mean, Tantra just fits in like a peg into a round hole. It's so appropriate, because it is that path of awakening to the divine, of healing, and awakening to the divine, masculine and feminine within us. And that's what's so needed in the world, because there's such an imbalance. There's so much violence. And in not knowing ourselves, in not revering ourselves, our bodies, who we are, we play that out with each other.
Yeah.
And I love that the message you got is like, be that. And then you attract, the beings who will come to you.
Right. And also don't bypass, I would say, don't bypass
Absolutely.
that there are sometimes there's in relating to another human, that can sometimes be a way to help clear the stuff that needs to go in order to really be able to,
Right. Yeah.
we become that light crystalline being that we are.
Yeah. And I think the focus is, I think so much it's human. We're looking for the perfect partner out there. And I think each one leads us to, and is a mirror for our own perfection and imperfections. And it's, so they help in that way, because there's a journey back to ourselves, to our one, our own inner marriage. And I just trust that the right people will show up in the right time. It may really test our patience.
Yes. Speaking from personal experience, yes. I'm sure I test people's patience too.
We all do,
Yeah.
How do you pick a needle from a haystack?
Yeah, and then it also feels important to at least name or touch on the importance of consciously meeting the trauma too. In other words, to not, to use the classic phrase, to not just bypass it and go, sheep, I'm light. Here I am.
No, and I don't think that path will work anymore. I think it may shoot up and then we'll come down with a thump, because
crash.
We need both legs. We are earth, and if that work hasn't been done, then we will be. It's inevitable that we will have to go through that journey to heal. And again, sound is incredibly powerful for trauma. Like I'm a psychotherapist, and when I started using sound, I was just amazed. I mean, my jaw would drop open, the people's jaws would drop open. Like, how did I get from here to there so quickly? Not only letting go, but connecting with the power within, connecting with the truth of who they are within, you know, which we get so in our minds and figuring it out, but sound was just seemed to be like, it just cut through all the noise, just like an arrow, and just went right through. And people know on an internal level, this is my truth, this is who I am. And when you know that, I mean, talk about re-becoming the one, when you, the more and more you peel away and touch those layers of who you are as truth, as power, as sexuality, as your voice, as your love, then the stories, the past just kind of seems to just disintegrate, and then they come into being in a whole other way. So I find sound incredibly powerful for, you know, even if it's just healing, if they come in for healing, they always leave with so much more.
Amazing. Yeah. And like I've kind of already touched on, but I was a psychotherapist for a long time too. And I specialized in trauma work, right? And a big part of why I left the social work world is because in that setting, I felt like I could only use about 10% of who I am. And so it wasn't where I was meant to be. I was meant to be doing all of this. And yes, I mean, that's another huge component of what comes through in my praying also, is the need, is the reality that I feel like our world is basically in a chronic state of trauma. And we really need to be supported, to be held, to support ourselves, to hold ourselves and each other, to do this trauma work. I mean, to really get what we need around it, whatever that happens to be, which is different for everybody, but it's really important. Yeah. And again, not to jump away from it, but to truly hold it in a sacred way and be with it. Yeah.
And work through it, and you know, heal from it.
Yeah.
Because then that's when the lifting off can happen, you know. And of course, it's an ongoing process, but there's no way, if we've bypassed it, then we will topple, and we will be forced to encounter it and meet it.
Yeah. And actually that was the last thing I was feeling called to say, which I'm guessing you would agree with too, is that it's not a linear process. It's really a cyclical, or, you know, like a spiral more is what I experienced personally. And and I'm even looking at the astrology of this time right now. And on the one hand, you know, in March of this year, we're recording this in 2023. So in March, we had a new moon at 0 degrees of Aries. And on that day, I was told, today is the 0 point of new Earth. And so, you know, whatever, again, my brain is like, that is incredibly woo-woo, give me some proof, you know, but that's what I was told. And so here we go. And it feels true on a certain level. So I had absolutely no doubt that there is some significant level of truth that we are in this newness of some kind, right? So part of me wants to just let's do the new thing. Like, this is beautiful, let's go for it. And then, again, on a personal level, I keep getting brought back to, whoa, way back down here, and you are human, remember this? And you still have stuff to clear. And then I'm frustrated. And then I go, ugh, I thought you said it was the new Earth, and, you know, let's do the new thing. And then they're like, yes, and and the letting go, and, you know, it's not one or the other, it's both at the same time. And then I realized, oh, right, astrologically, what's going on this year is that Pluto is squaring the nodes of the moon, and that is incredibly powerful about being a moment of change, a moment of deep transformation. But it's the image of the caterpillar going into the chrysalis and becoming the goop, right? And then eventually maybe being the butterfly. But it's not an image of the butterfly flying away. It is an image of deep, deep soul level transformation and
Right.
internal
Right.
transformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So again, it's not a linear.
No, nothing is linear. No, healing is never linear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, everything that you say just resonates, and we can't escape. There's no magic pill, although there's a lot of magic coming in. And I think the energies are supporting us to do this work in a way maybe it wasn't there 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I just feel it does a significant shift in energies.
Oh yeah, me too.
So that it's not going to be as hard or as painstaking, that a lot more is possible and quicker.
Mhm. Same, agreed. Exactly. Yeah. I think we're tapped into very similar things. It's very fascinating and amazing. Wonderful. Is there anything else that feels like it's wanting to be said?
Trying to think. I think we've covered it all. Yeah, I think what I'm encouraged by, and maybe I could leave with, is just that it can seem like a whole lot. I know for me, when I was starting out, trauma, these are all just big words, and it just seems like a shipload of stuff to heal and ancestral, and there is so much.
Yes.
And I think that the practices of vibration, of energy, earth-based practices, movement practices, they just move things along so much quicker. Not that psychology isn't helpful, but I think in terms of this type of work, I think psychology informs, but I think that the fuel that really moves it forward is these kinds of practices. And I keep coming back to sound. That's what I do. So I'm very partial in that regard, but it's really, really powerful. And the path, though the healing of trauma may seem rough, and it can be rough at times because we have to face and go through different things and heal from painful situations and relationships. But I think there's also, alongside, it is about opening to joy. It is about opening to love. It is about opening to pleasure and passion and really ecstasy. Ecstasy. That is the divine couple's normal state of being. So we're headed there. And again, sexuality. The more we can heal our sexuality and how we think about and experience our sexuality, and really place our sexuality alongside other things that we might be conscious of, whether it's our food or health, or it's just as important. And to really look at maybe it's the trauma there, or the indoctrination we've received about it, that it's really a path of beauty and ecstasy.
Absolutely. And I feel called to say, for some reason, that we can do all of the above at the same time. We can tap into that ecstatic joy, beauty, all of it, all of that, and meet that trauma, and maybe go through some things that feel difficult as we're processing it. Or it doesn't need to be something we switch between.
Right.
It can be all, it can't, everybody's process is different in every moment. 1 minute it might be one thing, and next minute it's another thing. But it's possible to really truly just be that ecstatic way of being, again, not in a bypassing way, but just as an embodied way, and meet life wherever it happens to be in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
which is
Absolutely.
amazing.
Which is beautiful,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's there's no simple answer, but it's complex, it can feel messy, and yet, that's what it is to be human, where it's the journey through the light and the dark, and to not look away from anything, and that nothing is taboo, that all of us is to be claimed and enjoyed, and to flourish.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with feeling ecstatic. Feel like that's a message that at least I can speak for myself. I need to hear, and maybe others need to hear, is that it's okay to feel really good. In addition, again, not bypassing, but just that's a fully legitimate and actually needed thing. So wonderful. Okay. Anything else before we move on to how people can find you?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. It feels complete to me.
Yeah.
Amazing. Not only complete, but amazing in its completeness. Beautiful. Right. So you are kind of in a moment where you're kind of a little more internal and taking a little bit of a pause with some of what you're doing. But I am sure people are resonating with you and would love to connect. So what would you like to tell people about how to connect with you, what you do offer at this moment, what you might offer in the future, anything
Yeah.
you want to share?
So people can definitely connect with me on my websites, mytraemeliana.com and templeofsoundhealing.com. Right now, they're two separate things. Who knows what will happen in the future? Feel free to just email me, if you resonate and just want to connect. I'm happy to do that. I am sort of in a pause at this point. So apart from some work that I'm already engaged in, I'm not offering workshops or teaching as I have been in the past. But once I take my foot off the gas, there will be workshops, programs, retreats, and so on. So I'd love to connect with you. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. This was feels incredibly divinely guided. I knew it would be, but this is a little bit over the top. So
Thank you, Martha. It's
thank
really lovely to speak with you.
you. You too. Thank you.